Hello and welcome to the Football Babble via video. Look at us. There we are. Three of us. I don't even need to introduce anyone tonight. Stephen and Bretton are with me. Hello, lads.
That's correct.
Evening.
This is just going to be, it's obviously going to be heavily covered this show with the big news of the weekend. Don Raul Jimenez scored. Unbelievable. Scored at Molyneux for Wolves. Absolutely delighted. Couldn't believe it. No, the big news of the weekend has to be obviously Ollie has gone. Heartbreak for myself and Brenton. Delight for Stephen. I think it's only fair, Stephen, that we open up with you and start with your thoughts, initial thoughts on this before we really get into a chat tonight about Manchester United, where they go next, and we'll touch on also what happened at the weekend as well with everyone else.
It's about time, I suppose, is the initial reaction I'd have. It feels like it's maybe a year too late, if not longer. I don't know what like the Liverpool results should have been it. Like that, you should not survive a 5-0 home defeat to your biggest rival. And I don't know why he was given like this extent. It's like when you have a dog and you know it has arthritis or it has cancer or something, but you're being really selfish and you keep hold of it for another few months, even though it's in pain, when you should really put it down. Like that's what the end of the Solskjaer regime felt like. And it was painful. And then like the exit interview, like, I'm embarrassed for the club and then for him for sitting down and agreeing to do it. Like it's just the whole thing is a shambles. But it all comes back to when you accept that Manchester United is not a football club run to win football matches, it's a club run to make money for the Glazers, everything then makes sense. And it's only now that risk of Champions League qualification or missing out on the Champions League is in play. That's why they acted. It's a shareholder decision. It's like watching Succession play out in real life or something. I don't know. It's just bizarre from a football fan point of view. But I'm glad it's happened. I'm glad the banter era is over, hopefully.
Don't know about that.
Yeah, no doubt something else will come along. And I suppose I always thought the manager after Ferguson was going to be crucial, but I think this might be the most important. This is the chance to either start rebuilding and becoming a proper football club again, or continue to be a laughing stock for the next decade, I think, with the next choice. And it really is that important. And we'll get onto it, I suppose, but I don't think it's just the manager. I think there's a fundamental kind of review of how the club operates, the coaches they bring in. All of that has to start. Like, it's a few months since United gave Mike Phelan a new contract. Like, what does Mike Phelan do?
About 6 weeks, I think.
Yeah, like what does Phelan do other than like remind Solskjaer of his glory days as a player? Like, I just did they sit around all day watching the meme of him bursting the balloon and frightening Ferguson? Like, I think that seems to be the like contribution. So it's just tough. Like look, I realize all the success Manchester United have had throughout my entire life, but this has been worse than anything like under Van Gaal or Mourinho or Moyes. Like this has been pretty bad.
If he'd have left in sorry, Brenton, if he had left at the Europa League final, he'd have left in good stock, I think, still. For himself, I mean, like, going forward, I don't think he'll ever end up anywhere near a bigger club as Manchester United, but he would have left with decent stock. But now I think, like, and when he came in, yes, the club was a wee bit rotten with Mourinho, and he came in and he certainly galvanised that and steadied it. But now I think he's took it back to that level almost, where it's right back to the start again.
Yeah, I had this conversation with like a United sporting friend of mine today, and we were saying like that actually, if he hadn't taken the job like full time, if he'd have left after like the interim period was up, he would have gone away with like his reputation sky high. He probably would have got like a decent job from it because of what he did. And now it's like we were trying to work out how far down the English leagues do you have to go before someone gives him a job. And you are talking about someone like Reading or Hull or Derby County. Like it's not even a mid-table championship team would take a punt on him. And that's the bit that never sat right with me. Like, they were so keen to give him this new contract. And like, who else was in the market for Solskjaer? Like, why were they rushing to give him a contract when nobody else, literally no other team were going to try and sign him? And it just, so many poor decisions. And like you said, he's kind of messed with his own stock a little bit as a manager. Like, not that, he came in as the guy who couldn't do well with Cardiff, like, and he won a couple of Danish leagues with Molde. Like, is that a managerial pedigree? I don't think it is. And he leaves almost like Steve Staunton when he finished up with Ireland. Like, came in as an absolute hero for a lot of people and leaves just as this figure of fun. And a lot of people were kind of saying, oh, well, I can separate Solskjaer, the manager, from Solskjaer, the player. I was like, but how can you? Because he only had the job, and he only kept the job for as long as he did because of what he did as a player. And just immensely frustrating that it carried on so long. But at least it's over now. And they're probably going to do the same thing again. Give it to like Michael Carrick till the end of the season, and Carrick will probably get them Champions League football. And maybe with the players they have, you look at Ronaldo, you look at Fernandes, you look at the quality of players they have, and it could be a Di Matteo situation where they go and win the Champions League, or they do something mad like that. And then are they stuck having to give Carrick the job, even though he's clearly not a player or a person deserving of the job? And I just can't help but feel like something like that is going to happen again. It's just, it could go so badly wrong now again, even though it feels like a relief that it's finally over. It could go just as badly again over the next few months.
That is literally my next question to you was, have they not already messed it up again by going? They basically went from the interim model, and now literally their statement was they're looking for an interim coach. And I could not believe that it said we're on the search basically for an interim coach.
Yeah,
like Manchester United, it's Amazon fucked up for a start picking Arsenal, because they're not even that bad a basket case now. They're like, they're half settled. This here was the dream. This was the dream TV documentary scenario. Like this, I know not for you, Steve, obviously, but for the rest of the world, this was just a just stunning TV. And then that statement, I could actually, when that statement came out, when that statement came out yesterday, I could feel your anger. You hadn't said anything yet, Steve. I could feel the anger coming from your abode over the border there. I could feel the steam coming and rising. I just couldn't believe it when I saw it.
Yeah, you're not wrong. And like, it just, the timing just keeps being off with everything they do. Like, it should have been after Liverpool, and then like the manager that, like, it goes like, for me, the manager that they should have got was Thomas Tuchel like a year ago. That's the guy who should have managed with the way United like to play football and the way United traditionally want to play football. He was the person for them. Before then, it was Jurgen Klopp. That's who should have been the manager after Ferguson. And it's like, even, by delaying it a couple of weeks, they've missed out on Conte. And Conte wouldn't have been my choice, but he was the best available free manager. Everyone else they're going to go after is either they're going to have to wait till the end of the season, or they're going to have to buy them out of their contract. And it's just messy. Like, that's not how you go about your business. You can absolutely guarantee that both Manchester City and Liverpool have succession plans in place for when Pep and Klopp eventually go. Like, whatever about Chelsea and, the way they go through managers, they saw their man that they wanted, and they went and they got him, and they timed it so that they could get him. United just don't do that. Like, they've got David Moyes when he wasn't ready for a big job, and now look at what David Moyes is doing with West Ham, and it's not great, but like, it just feels as well like this is all set up for them to go after Brendan Rodgers 5 years after we all discovered Brendan Rodgers was not that good a manager. And just feels inevitable that that's the kind of decision that they will take, and it's just I just don't know why they keep getting this so wrong. Like, these are very, very successful businessmen that are running Manchester United, who you would imagine make really important and big decisions every single day. And yet, when it comes, especially with their other, like, you know, they literally just saw their team in the NFL win the Super Bowl last February. They know what they're doing when they, you know, they can put the right people in place to make things successful. They just obviously don't care or see Manchester United as anything other than a cash machine. And that's what fills me with dread, that they won't make the right decision with the next manager.
Brenton, Steve's obviously going to be the. Oh, no, go ahead. Go ahead.
Well, no, I was just going to make a quick point and say that's where the unbalanced views come in, because success for them, as you said, is staying in the Champions League, rolling over the money. Ronaldo was clearly a big financial decision for them as well, in terms of PR, marketing the club, everything that goes along with that, and who he is. And their model of success is working for them, has worked for them under Solskjaer, even though for everyone else it's been an absolute shambles. You know, talking about fans basically, and that's where your big problem lies. And that's not one that you fix for the fan. You don't fix it for the fan by getting Carrick or by getting Ten Hag or whatever it is. You know, I think that the ultimate problem is bigger than that.
It is, yeah. Like, the rumors from the club are that, like, they're just, the senior players aren't happy with the level of coaching, and they're also never sure who is in charge of the coaching. And I think that's where it comes back to: does it need like a complete structural overhaul of how the club works? And that obviously starts at boardroom level. But if at boardroom level they don't care as long as they're still making money, then why would they put the things in place that are a little bit more headachy? You know, having to buy someone out of their contract, having to put an actual proper director of football in place. Because I think, you know, say for example, if you want to go after Den Haag or whatever, you have to, if you want the Ajax way, you have to put an Ajax system in place. And our Manchester United fans going to say, okay, let's put another 5 years off the table of actually winning anything. Let's build it from new players. Let's become a club that trains players from, and United have always been like, you know, they pride themselves on the fact that they've had this run of players involved in the matchday squad who've come through the youth system. But Ajax is taking that up a level again, and like, you have to put all the things in place for that to work. And, you know, even if he did become, you know, the manager, the issue seems to be that, like, he's not a very good communicator. He's someone who struggles to deal with like negative media and things like that. Like, we've seen what the media reaction to a bad Manchester United performance is. So how is he going to deal with that? Like, there's the thing that kind of, like, obviously I'm glad Solskjaer is gone, but the thing that kind of tempers all the joy of, like, who will be next, or the excitement of who will be next, is there's absolutely flaws with every single name that's mentioned for the job. Like, you know, we talked about in the group chat earlier on with Pochettino. I think he's got a style and he's got a way of playing that absolutely would suit not only the players Manchester United have, but what Manchester United fans like seeing. But the big hit on Pochettino is that he's not really great with players, like dealing with players and with egos and with man management. And like, you've got like probably the biggest ego in world football at number 7 for United. Well, he's wearing number 7, he's playing up front. But like, so that there's an issue there. You've got I think, who were the other names mentioned? Like Laurent Blanc, like
Enrique.
Yeah, Enrique. Like, there's another one. Like, Enrique would be brilliant in terms of like annoying Liverpool fans, particularly. But he's going to play Mourinho football, and like I've done that experience of trying to win every game 0-0. And it's not an enjoyable way to watch football. Like, football is supposed to be entertainment at the end of the day. Lucien Favre, sacked by Dortmund. Like, there's none of Zinedine Zidane. Okay, there's another one, right? Zidane is a name, absolutely a name. Won Champions Leagues with Real Madrid as manager, but was anyone labouring under the apprehension that Zinedine Zidane was out there day in, day out on the field, talking through how they were going to defend the short corner? Like, that's not what Zidane was. Sorry?
I think I would have won the Champions League with Real Madrid at that stage, to be honest.
But this is exactly it. Like, Real Madrid with Ronaldo at the peak of his form, like, as well. So I think there's just, I'm not confident that they're, even if they had their pick of every single manager in the world, I still wouldn't be confident that they get right with the limited selection that they have. I'm absolutely not confident they're going to get it, and the fact that they're going to put it off is really worrying.
See, like that, just two bits. The first bit you finished off with, the fact that they're putting it off is worrying. I actually, if they're gonna put it off to try and get an interim coach like Laurent Blanc or the Athletic were saying before we came on, trying to keep a straight face, Steve Bruce. Sorry, Stephen, I'm not winding you up. I'm not trying to wind you up. Say something like that, right? I think that's stupid. You'd be safer off keeping Carrick and Kieran McKenna in charge, getting that group together as a collective, as a team, just getting through the rest of this season and doing that, and then going for your main man. And even you were saying, like, if you wanted Ten Hag, there's going to need to be patience. But that's another problem with this appointment that United made. They made this appointment on Solskjaer and gave him the long-term deal. And then we're just like, right, well, he's all set then. They never put anything else in place behind Solskjaer in case shit hit the fan and they were able to just move into where they were going to go next. It seems to me, looking at it, and this is because obviously me and Brent are looking at our clubs that are very well run because we have Maria and Michael Edwards. Maria and Michael at our clubs are looking after things, and they're able to put in place a plan. So you can see when Klopp does leave that there's enough inklings that it could be Pep Linders, but there'll be someone that'll come in that'll be able to take it over and go on from there. And maybe this is the point where United go, yes, we're giving ourselves, obviously an interim sounds really stupid, whatever, but the thing they need to nail the most is getting the Michael Edwards in, or the Maria, how do you pronounce Maria's second name? I don't want to get it wrong, so I'm not saying it.
Granovskaya.
So I didn't want to do her justice there. Maria Granovskaya, who's been amazing at Chelsea. That's why you need to go and get maybe someone like Ralph Rangnick, who was mentioned on, I think it was the Second Captain's podcast, mentioned him earlier. Get him or someone, and he's always name bandied about when a big club is struggling. What are we going to do here to sort this out? But someone like that, you know what it could be? I'm going to throw this out there. They could go and poach Michael Edwards, who's out of contract here in June. And that could be a humongous signing for Manchester United. Someone like that in to get the bases going. And then your next manager could be Poch for a year, 2, 3 years, whatever it mightn't be. But it's the plans in place so that when your next Ferguson, your Klopp or whatever comes along, someone that just completely galvanizes the club, completely takes it over, there's stages in place then for him just to run with it. Do you know what I mean? Because at the minute, I think I think it'll probably be Poch. That's just my own thinking on it, and it's probably a year or two too late. I really rate Poch, but if United did have the chance where they could take a breather again, I know they're in the middle of a thing, I would wait for someone like Luis Enrique at the end of his World Cup in Qatar, the Spain manager, and I would have in place now going forward, the mechanisms where he can step into this and there's a club for him to run under his mold, or even Ten Hag in a year's 2 time, someone like that, because I do think that your point that you made earlier, this next manager, the next permanent manager that they go with, they have to nail, or they're just going to fall further adrift.
Yeah, but
and they're going to be in the quagmire Liverpool were in for like 15, 20, 30 years, and it's horrendous.
Yeah, that is exactly what, like, that is what I fear is going to happen, because it just feels like they're making quite a few of the same mistakes that Liverpool made, in that time. Like, Liverpool appointed a couple of decent managers in that time, just probably at the wrong time. And that's how, like, the Moyes situation, the Van Gaal situation, like Mourinho, even, like, they've been good managers. They just have been the wrong manager at the wrong time for what United. The Rangnick thing, I think, is really interesting because he obviously just has his Lokomotiv Moscow. He's just signed a deal with, like, he's only a few months into it, like, but he doesn't strike me as the manager. He strikes me as someone above the manager. Someone I was kind of banding around in my head today was Roberto Mancini. Obviously had a very successful Euros, not going as well of late, but knows the Premier League, probably was dealt a shitty hand by Man City in the end, coming back for a chance for revenge. Now, I don't know if he'd take the job, but I wouldn't mind seeing what he'd be like. But again, he feels like a manager for a couple of years rather than like the long-term solution. Enrique is an interesting one because I think he obviously has Spain back playing a decent level of football.
Really good.
Yeah. Who's the other one? Someone said to me today. Valverde, the Bilbao manager, the former Bilbao manager,
And Barcelona.
Yeah, but kind of had his reputation sullied, I suppose, with Barcelona. But like, I mean, we've seen what a kind of basket case for the club Barcelona is, so maybe he just wants to be involved in another one. And I think the other one was Rudy Garcia, the Lyon manager. But again, I think if they're looking at France, it's going to be Pochettino. Like, I don't doubt it's going to be Pochettino. Laurent Blanc is an interesting one in terms of like an interim coach as well. Like, but again, like, none of these names are like, they're not standing out the way, you know, Liverpool signing Jurgen Klopp or Chelsea with Tommy Tuchel. Like, it just doesn't have the same buzz to it, like, at all. And I don't like. It's so important, the decision, but they've gotten so many decisions wrong over the past few years that I just have no faith in. And the other problem is, and I know, Brendan, one of your mates kind of texted in about, like, you know, if you were building Manchester United back up from the ground level, what would you do? And I think, like, it starts with Ronaldo and having to ease him out of the side. And I know that sounds so stupid considering how many important goals he's got this season, especially in the Champions League. But he's costing, it's at the expense of everybody else and everything else that Manchester United are trying to do. And it's great to have like a genuinely world-class player there. But what you're doing is you're halting the development of Mason Greenwood. You're halting the development of Marcus Rashford. You're halting the play of Bruno Fernandes. Bruno Fernandes has turned into this, like, the shadow of a player he was this time last year. And that's like, there's no, like, this is what Ronaldo did at Juventus. You know, Juventus were the dominant team in Italy. Ronaldo joined them, and now look at Juventus. Like, it's not as if the blueprint isn't there for what Ronaldo does to a team, and that is not to take away from what he is doing individually. It just is the impact, and I know I've been banging on about this since he signed, like, but it's the impact that has on what you try to do. Like, if you're a high press manager like Pochettino, like high tempo, high press, Ronaldo is the worst player you could have as your centre forward for that, because he just doesn't press and he doesn't track. And you see it so often that, you know, 9 outfield players from United are trying to press, and then whatever player Ronaldo was supposed to do, he's the outlet ball, and it's just so frustrating. And it just drives me mad that, like, he keeps getting all these important goals, so he gets stuck in the team. But they're games that, like, they're probably a comfortable Manchester United win if they play the way they, like, you know, the way they were looking like they could play, with Mason Greenwood being the you know, the main striker up front and everyone else kind of supporting them. So, like, that's one place I'd start. The other place would be Harry Maguire would be gone. Like, he would be just gone from, like, whatever has happened to him from that moment, whatever happened to him on his holidays, until now, like this thing of celebrating, like, playing against postmen and acting as if he scored against 1970s Brazil, like, and then you come back to the Premier League and you get yourself sent off for the most stupid of decisions, like, and his play has been so poor, and Luke Shaw as well. Like there's two players who constantly look like world class players when they play for England, and then when they play for Manchester United, look inept. And is that Solskjaer's coaching? I don't know, because like there's so many simple errors that like Harry Maguire makes, and so much lack of accountability. He's always looking for someone else to blame, even when he's obviously at fault. And that's not captain material. Now, I don't know who the club captain should be. I'd probably give it to one of the younger players. I'd probably give it to Marcus Rashford or a Mason Greenwood. I'd probably give it to De Gea for the moment, and then pass it on.
Fred?
Sorry?
Fred?
Christ, no. There's another player who would no longer be with the club if I was stripping it down and starting again. But like,
Wan-Bissaka.
50 million pounds, like 50 million pounds, and you can't cross the ball. I just like there's so much that needs to be done, but therein lies the problem. To drop Harry Maguire, to drop Ronaldo, to go play a really high press, high tempo style of football, you need a really, really strong manager and a really, really big personality. And who out of all those people we named has that personality? And I don't think any one of them do. Like Simeone has the personality, has the force of will, but he has the wrong style of football. Pochettino has the right style of football, but he's the wrong character. And this is where the issue lies. Like the perfect Manchester United manager, there's two of them in the Premier League. It's Thomas Tuchel and it's Jurgen Klopp, and they're not getting either of those. So I don't know what they do. And that's not because they're good. And they clearly are very, very technically good coaches. Why they're perfect Manchester United managers is they have the right personality and they play football the right way. That's what makes them. It's not their success. It's the way they go about their success that makes them. They're obviously not getting either of those. So the way Daddy has managed Barcelona in a few showings so far, maybe he's the man for United.
Let me ask you this, because this has been talked about so much in the Solskjaer reign, and probably beyond. And you hear all the time from the ex-players who are obviously now pundits about the United way. How important do you think that is, first of all, to you, and secondly to the wider fan base? Do you think that's
it is important
that they want to see?
Yeah, I do think it is important, because I think that was the Mourinho issue. Like Mourinho won trophies as Manchester United manager. He won a European title with them, not the European title, but he won a European title with them. Like, but it was the style of football wasn't fun to watch, and we just got so used to, like, United always had, attacking fullbacks. They always had a box-to-box midfielder. They nearly always had a striker who could get you 20 to 30 goals a season. It feels like they have barely any of those now. Like they certainly don't have a box-to-box midfielder. They don't have a fullback who can get into the channels and swing in amazing balls. They don't have either a left or right winger who is naturally a winger and not actually a converted striker, because it feels like all their wingers are converted strikers. And that's the way football's going, and that's fine. Like, they don't have a 30 goal a season across all competitions striker. So they're missing all of these things. And I think if there were green shoots, this is the thing with Solskjaer. There was a couple of performances, the PSG game, where Tuanzebe absolutely played Neymar off the park, right? And you see moments like that and you go, okay, why can't that be every week? And at the start with Solskjaer, it was because what he was set up to do was play counter-attacking football. So they tended to get big results against the bigger teams and then struggle against smaller teams, which was the Liverpool way for years as well. And that's not a slight on Liverpool, but that was, Liverpool were really good against the top six and really poor against the bottom six. And that's what United under Solskjaer was. Whereas now, I feel like there's an opportunity there. We know, on any given Sunday or Saturday, you know how Chelsea are going to set up, and you know what they're going to do in terms of formation. You know what they're going to do in terms of tactics. Same with Liverpool. Like, injuries aside, because obviously that's an issue with Liverpool a little bit in terms of squad depth. But like, you have a very good idea what you're going to do. You have a very good idea what Manchester City are going to do week to week. I have no fucking clue what United are doing under Solskjaer. Like, I genuinely have no idea. It's not quite pressing. It's not quite defensive. It's just this middle ground of nothingness. And what I'd just like to see is someone who comes in and goes, I would rather lose one in every 3 games and win the other 2 than play for draws. Like, I've always been a person who would rather win 4-3 than 1-0.
Yep.
And I just, like, life is shit enough. I just want to be entertained. I don't want to feel miserable every time I sit down to watch Manchester United, and that's all I'm asking for from the new manager.
This is what you get for 30 years of hurt. This is it. This is what you get. You all deserve it. No, I ain't joking. Brenton, who would you pick if you had the keys to Old Trafford? Who also say who's available, but it's the world of football. Everyone's available for a price. So, like, who do you go out there and get?
See, that's why I asked that question about the United way, because obviously I'm not a United fan, but that wouldn't be important to me, and it's obviously important. That's why I asked it. It's obviously important to United fans. It's obviously something they hold very close, because of Fergie. Let's face it. But
yeah,
because my club has kind of been built on something different, whereas wherein you just win no matter what the manager's style is. We've been through, obviously, Conte, Mourinho, all different styles, but they all ended up winning trophies and being successful and being the most successful team in England in the last 15, 20 years. So it's hard for me to get away from that thought and pick somebody who just fits the bill, if you know what I mean by that. But if you're serious about it and you want to create that sort of culture that Steve's talking about there, that the United fans really want, I think Ten Hag, I would wait for him. I think if he was allowed to, and that's the ultimate question. That's the real question. Will he be allowed to fully put his stamp on the club from, as one of my mates put it earlier, from head to toe? You're talking about a director of football. You're talking about a whole new coaching regime. I think it wasn't a lot of Solskjaer's coaches were actually Mourinho's coaches as well. They were all in around the club anyway. Solskjaer didn't. I don't know if he didn't want to, or he wasn't allowed to bring in a whole new staff, basically. From everything from nutrition, the chefs, the way the whole place is run day to day, that never seemed that was obviously Fergie. That he controlled everything from top to bottom. And yes, the structures have changed now, that not one man or one woman can control everything from the top, but you can instill a culture right throughout. Johnny will tell you about what Wenger did. He loves the story about when he came in, and I think he banned like red sauce basically straight away. That's the sort of thing. I know that's a real small minute detail, but that's the sort of thing that someone at United needs to be allowed to do. And I genuinely don't think they're going to do that. I just think the ownership, the board, they don't care about that. Like they're on such a different understanding, such a different measurement of success to what the fans are, and probably to what the players are too. Like the players are you can tell that they're hurting and that they're not happy. And I don't think it's all Solskjaer's fault, obviously. But I don't think it's going to change until you let somebody come in and uproot that club and start again. And I don't mean try to replicate what Fergie did, because I don't think it doesn't work like that anymore. But it needs a blank piece of paper, and it feels like the only way I can say that now is that they just keep turning the page over and then folding it over and writing on the other side and folding it over again, writing on the other side with what they're going to do now, supposedly with Carrick, or with, some other ex-legend of the club coming in. You would just hope as a United fan that they are holding out. If they hold out to the summer, that they are holding out for the right appointment, and they'll allow that person to have a spell to rebuild. Like, you look across the Liverpool, and what did Klopp do? How long did it take him? He's probably reinstilled a culture that was there many years ago, but done it in a modern way. And that's what Steve's probably talking about. That he would have been perfect for United as well, because there's not somebody recognizable probably now who you think could do that in United, but Klopp would have been the closest there was to it.
And like, how long, Steve? Like, well, you're not going to speak for the whole, putting you to speak for the whole of United fan base. So a lot of pressure on you. How long would you give like the next manager? Because my own speaking, when Klopp came in, we were just literally blown away. So Klopp could still not have won anything at Liverpool, and we would all just be still on this wave with him, because he has us all in the palm of his hand. Do you know what I mean? In a lovely, comforting way. So as soon as Klopp came in, he did that press conference, doubters to believers, and he started talking about different things, and he was picking youth players. He said, "Don't worry about it. They're all here. They're all my players," and blah blah blah, and different things. And we're going through a stage, and I think we got the 2 finals that year, beat both of them, but you're just like, oh, that's annoying. But then you're like, oh, we've still got Klopp. So it didn't matter. Got the next year Champions League, didn't win anything, get close to anything, still have Klopp. Beating Kiev, still have Klopp. We were always just still have Klopp. Like, what was it? Was it about 2-3 weeks ago, Brent and Liverpool were talking about it, and I was like, I don't care what happens, because we still have Klopp. It's still a thing. Fan base, like even Gareth Roberts, we're talking about in the Anfield Wrap. We have Klopp, so whatever with everything else. So the next man for you, like, how long do you give him? Like, because I think you can't be, as a United fan base, and far be it from me to try and tell United fans how to behave, but you cannot be expecting straight away, no matter who is on that playing staff, right, that's it, bang, we're going to win all around this. It's not going to work like that. You have to give the next man up like a year or two to get in, to get his ways, get his team settled, and then you'll see the fruits of his coaching, like, hopefully, for your sake.
You need a coach.
Yeah. That is exactly it. You need someone who can actually coach the team, like, and they need a coach more than they need a manager. I would agree. That's very fair to say. So I think if someone comes in and has a really clear direction and admits, like, as much as they talk about the United way, like, they can't be enthralled to the past. Like, that was Liverpool's problem for the 30 years. They kept talking back about how great Liverpool were in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s. And that's United's problem now. And it's United fans' problem as well. Like, like, they talk about the Fergie era as if it was 3 years ago. It wasn't. It was like nearly 2 decades ago. It's time to move on from what the club was then to what the club are now. But like, you, Brendan, you made the point. Like, you can't be a Ferguson in modern football. You have to be a coach. What Ferguson was a brilliant manager who got the most out of, in a lot of cases, some really, really limited players. Like Ferguson's last title, I will go to my grave saying that's one of the best managerial performances the football world has ever seen, because that squad was putrid. Like, and he still got them to a title.
No midfield.
Sorry.
You had no midfield.
Yeah, well,
Like, there was no,
they'd known
the
nothing, and
midfield
he
was
still,
burnt
he
out.
still managed. Yeah, so it like to me, that's, you park that and you move on, because that's not where football is anymore. Football is so much more technical now, and it's the detail. Like, it's just the, like, Pep Guardiola goes into, like, and again, like, people will say, right, maybe he's not as good a coach as people always say. Like, he revolutionized how goal kicks were taken, right? And he goes into every game with 6 or 7 different ways that they're going to approach goal kicks. It's that level of detail that you need from your manager. Like, you've got, like, what else are you doing? You've got all week to plan for 90 minutes of football. Know what, like, have 10 corner routines in your back pocket. Like, and make sure that the players know how to execute them all. Like if it just feels like that level of attention to detail, that's what they need. They need someone to come in, almost like that micromanager that you or I would hate in our workplace. But that's what United need. But I also think that's what the United players would want. Like, I think if you come into Ronaldo and said, and even Fernandez, and you come into them and said to them, right, here are my 5 different free kick routines for when we have the ball in the left channel, when we have a free kick in the left channel. They're the kind of players that are absolutely going to respond really well to that. Likewise, if you say to David De Gea, right, here's what we're going to do on defensive corners, he's going to respond really well to that, because there's a plan in place. And that's what they need to they need to almost compartmentalize the coaching as being one thing, and they need to nail whoever that is to have that level of technical detail. But even if they don't, bring in people or have people with them who have that level of, what's the guy that's with Gerrard that you brought from Rangers down to Villa? Oh, I can't remember his name. Like,
Bale.
Yeah, like, incredibly highly, like, rated in terms of his technical qualities as a coach. And that, like, even if you don't have the skill yourself, surround yourself with people who are better than you, who are smarter than you. That's the way. Change, like, slight topic. If you want to succeed in your job, in any job, surround yourself with people who are better than you, and then use them to elevate yourself up. Like, that's how you. That's the best managers in any job, in any career, have put people in place who make them look good. And that's what I think. Don't hire someone because they were your old manager's assistant manager. Like, that's just not the way to do it. But then I think the other part is the personality, because I think you're right. Because where Klopp, I'm going to say this, and I don't mean it as disrespectfully as I did, but Klopp got away with a lot of failures because of his personality early on. And he was given slightly more time than maybe he could have gotten under a maybe it's not fair. Under this regime, he was probably always going to get this time. But under a different regime in charge, Klopp maybe wouldn't have got the leeway that he did. And then eventually it came good.
At Chelsea, he wouldn't probably.
No, he wouldn't. Yeah, absolutely. Klopp would have been a failure if he'd have been the Chelsea manager, given the time frame. And I think that's really important as well. Like, they've done the quick coaching changes now. You bring someone in, they have a philosophy, you give them time to make sure they get the players in, or bring the players up who can play that philosophy. I mean, people talk about, like, Liverpool have made really shrewd signings and Mike Edwards and things like that, and they have. Don't get me wrong. Like, I mean, they signed the best centre half in the world and the best goalkeeper in the world at the time, and all of a sudden they won the Premier League. I mean, it's not rocket science, but they're also bringing players through at the same time who are going to replace the likes of Salah and Mane and things like that when they move on, and that's absolutely what you need to do. So it's like only 3 managers in history have won a league title, a First Division or Premier League title with Manchester United. It's hard to win league titles. United fans just got so used to how easy it was at a time when they had a manager who was a cut above everyone else. Now they're desperately trying to keep up tread water with managers and coaches who are far superior than anything that's on the market right now. So it's a tough ask. It's a big, like, I started this podcast or this video cast optimistic, because obviously I was delighted to see Solskjaer go, but the more I'm talking about it, the more I'm realizing how much has to be done. Like,
that's our job.
More,
to bring you right back down.
Bring you right
appreciate
down.
it so much. It's
you folks don't know what he's like in the WhatsApp group.
I'm gonna be miserable now for the evening.
But
See,
I think
the
that's
thing
an
as
important.
well. Sorry, Brenton.
Go
The
ahead.
thing as well, about this was, like, yes, it was the right thing to do, Solskjaer to move on, but, like, and we've mentioned this so many times, it's such a massive red flag for me looking on the outside is there is no plan. There is literally, and we spoke about the interim. We'll wait until the end of the season. Like, it's still November. Like, do you know what I mean? There was literally just like bang panic button after the 4-1 when it should have been done. That to me is such a humongous red flag. I think Michael Richards was talking about it on Monday Night Show before we come on here tonight. Like, he just, like, they keep going around. Like, people keep going around, like, saying Manchester United, the biggest football club in the world, because obviously merchandise and fandom or whatever. But you're acting like an amateur league side. You're not acting like someone on Football Manager just going bang, deleting this, starting again. Like, unless I get this way wrong, and they have a place, Carrick comes in or whatever, settles the season down, get to the summer, and it is someone like Ten Hag's come in, and things are behind the scenes we don't know about. Ed Woodward saying he's staying, so I highly doubt it. But do you know what I mean? It's just I thought I saw it when Liverpool were acting the bollocks, and I saw all this. Do you know what I mean? I thought, like, we're acting like this and we're a laughing stock, and then United do it and look on the other side, you're just thinking, like, Jesus, what is going on here? Like, the whole thing is just, I call Barcelona the Catalonian Clown College, but the Carrington Clown College is coming up pretty fast behind it. Like, do you know what I mean? It's a shambles, but I don't know. What were you going to say, Brenton? Sorry.
No, I was just going to say it's the coaching thing is so important because, and so obvious, because the players that got the details that Steve's talking about there, with the set piece routines, or throw-ins at this certain area of the pitch or whatever it may be, or something actually, sorry, that just came into my head as basic as don't half press a Liverpool team who are going to absolutely, that is literally what they want. Like, don't do it. Like, that level of coaching is going to benefit those players, and they'll respond to it because they're good. They're really good players. Like, when we did our shows at the start of the season, I think we were all talking about the signings that United had made, how much that would elevate them, and how close they could get to the title. That is true, but I think we also mentioned, but they've got Solskjaer. Like, that was always just a red flag in the background that counteracted how good the squad was. The squad is still really good. I don't know, like, Michael Carrick, I'd be pretty confident in saying, is not going to get the best out of that squad. But somebody really could. Somebody good, somebody who knows what they're doing and who can extract the ability out of those players. It's so obvious to all of us who needs to maybe move on, what positions they need to fill. And as Steve said with Liverpool, they saw a problem and they just fixed it and they won the league. Like, it's sometimes not as complicated. Yes, there's details and there's technical coaching, but sometimes the obvious is what you need to do and what you need to address. Liverpool addressed it, and look how successful they've become. I was listening to the Athletic podcast today, and they were saying about the Chelsea performance against Burnley, the two wide players in the front three weren't coming inside when the wing backs were going on the outside. What did Tuchel do at the weekend? He brought Hudson-Odoi and Mount in. He saw a problem. He fixed it. They won 3-0. It's recognizing the problem and fixing it. And I think United need to do that on the club as a whole. And I think they need to bring in a coach who can do that with the squad as well.
Yeah, I think that's really fair. And it's the level of effort that's going to have to go into getting that right that I just can't trust ownership to do. I was just, when you were chatting there, I was looking at the league table, because when what Phil said about why now, like, and I shouldn't have looked at the league table, but like, why now is because 5 games ago we were still talking about Manchester United as being there or thereabouts in terms of, like, the form hadn't been great, but they were still close enough to the top of the table. They're now closer to Newcastle, who haven't won a game this season, than they are to Chelsea at the top of the league. That's why now. It's pretty impressive that Norwich have twice as many wins in the last 5 games than Manchester United do. Now, it was a tough run, and we always knew that section of the season was going to be a really tough run. But the signings thing is huge. I think it was on. Yeah, it was. We were talking about when United signed Varane, and I said I wish they'd have signed another centre half. And I don't know. I can't remember. Maybe it was Johnny laughed at me, and I was like, I've just never trusted Harry Maguire to be. I used to make the argument that if Maguire was your second best centre half, you're okay. But now I think he has to be your third best centre half for you to have a decent team. And he just is a bit par player. I'd have Bailly and Varane, if they were both fit, as my starting centre halves all day, because at least with Bailly you get like the excitement factor that like he could go on a 60-yard run beating 4 players, or he could break someone's leg. That's the beauty of it. I mean, he could do them both in the same passage of play, to be honest. Varane just can't stay fit, and I don't know, is that a training thing? Like, is that that the club haven't adapted their training to his body and his needs? And I go on about this all the time about, like, you adapt your coaching to the players that you have, and you adapt your fitness to the players that you have, not the players that you want. And the Varane thing seems suspicious that, and it's not just Varane actually. If you look at Bailly and Lindelof as well, like their centre halves seem to be constantly getting injured. Like, what are they doing in training that is particularly affecting their centre halves? I don't really know.
Phil Jones.
Well, yeah, Jesus Christ, I forgot. Yeah.
I think he travelled with the squad.
Oh, did he? Oh no.
But he's not in the. I don't know why he travelled, but he's not eligible. They've submitted their Champions League squad.
Okay, grand.
He's not.
He's just there to cheer.
Went for the banter. Yeah.
Oh God. And like, look, Phil Jones gets a really hard time, and like, I'm not saying he doesn't deserve all of it, but like, that's like you are like this is exactly it. Like, we laugh at the teams that Klopp managed. Like, you look at Liverpool team sheets from Klopp's first season in charge, and you laugh and you go, like, how did he do anything with that team? That's what Manchester United are at the moment. When you have someone like Phil Jones in and around the squad, when you have someone like Fred starting in midfield, yeah, like, I mean, Manchester United, have done more to ruin the reputation of Brazilian footballers than any other club in world football. Because every single Brazilian they've signed has been absolutely shite. Brazil is a nation of like probably 100 million people. I don't know I wasn't very good at geography, but I'm sure it's a big population. It's a big country. Manchester United seem to only target the really bad footballers that come from Brazil. But yeah, look, they have good players in and around. Like I get Alex Telles much more involved in the team. I think you can do much more in terms of having a back five, a back three, a back four if Telles is involved, depending on what you want to do. And yeah, like take Ronaldo out, take Maguire out, and try and just go with youth as much as possible with a little bit of experience mixed in thereabouts. Centre midfield, absolute pressing need. Like again, like why when Kante became available was Kante not the player that Manchester United signed? Kante is your prototypical Manchester United centre midfielder, and they never went after him. Like, and Kante and Pogba, we see how well they play together for France. Like Kante automatically then improves Pogba as a player. It's decisions like that it all has knock-on effects, and like they're going to try and make a splash next summer, I think, with a signing, but like it feels like it'd probably be another Ronaldo signing that like it'll be someone. It's going to be fucking Neymar. I just know it's going to be Neymar.
I hope so.
Oh no, it is going to.
I'll
be
fund
Neymar,
that myself.
Zinedine Zidane is going to sign Neymar, and Manchester United are going to be back to banter club status.
And you'll be able to watch him while at Garth Brooks.
Absolutely not.
Neymar Hoof's sister.
Neymar Hoof's sister, yeah. Jesus Christ. That is a fantasy football team name, not an accusation.
Yeah, that is not an accusation. That is someone's fantasy football team name. That is not a football babble accusation. Look, we were going to talk about the rest of football this week, but I think this story just took it over. Like, it's not just the Ollie leaving, Ollie's got a score losing his job. It's the state Manchester United are in and find themselves in, how they get out of it. It's such a massive story, so we're dedicated to it. But just to sort of finish off, Brent and Steve, the top three teams won at the weekend, and they all won really well. And obviously West Ham were in the chasing pack. They beat by Don Raúl. Thank you, my brother. So they're sort of separated now. But like, obviously, Brenton, you were impressed with Chelsea. Thought Liverpool were excellent. Thanks to Mikel Arteta again. Appreciate you getting everyone ready for that and getting everyone riled up. Well done, Mikel. You Lego-headed moron. I was going to say another bad word, but I decided not to. And then
I
City
saw you
yesterday
just pull it out at the end there.
What did I just pulled out before I dropped a C-bomb on a video? But yeah, thanks Lego Head again. What impressed you, Steve, of the three teams going for the title at the minute? Liverpool, City, and Chelsea. What was the impressive performance of the weekend?
I think it was Chelsea. Brendan won't thank me for saying it, but they feel like they're not quite at the level that Liverpool and Man City were those last couple of years, where like they were pushing each other 200 points or whatever like that. But they're not far off it. They're really not far off it.
Yeah,
I thought. They're just a really good, well coached, well put together operation. Now, is there depth issues in terms of the squad? Maybe there is, but I think at the moment they're the best team in the league. I thought Manchester City were functional. I thought Cancelo's pass was like, if there's a goal or an assist of the season award, it's already wrapped up. I don't think there is, but they should make one just for that pass.
Yeah, but then, like,
it was such a rapid.
By the way, he is Cancelo ridiculous.
So good.
As someone that has him in their fantasy team all season, he's not talked about enough as one of the best fullbacks in Europe. He's not mentioned enough at all about it. Like, he is absolutely superb as a footballer. Superb player.
there are so many good fullbacks at the moment. Like, you could build an 11 from fullbacks who can score at the moment. Not Wan-Bissaka, obviously. And I thought Liverpool
He could do nets.
Yeah, he could do nets. Yeah, I thought Liverpool were excellent. That was a trap game. I felt coming out of the international break,
I was worried.
But I thought it was like it's hard. It's hard to look how it could have gone better. Like, it was felt like Liverpool were in third gear and won 4-0. Like, I mean, you can't really ask for more than that. So I think, yeah, the top three look that cut above the rest. Obviously, West Ham, they'll be disgusted with themselves to follow up beating Liverpool with losing to Wolves. But Wolves are quietly having a good season. I think it was you, Phil, that mentioned that they're top six now all of a sudden out of absolutely nowhere. Like, so like, I think this is where it gets worrying for United as well. Not to bring it back to United, but like, there is such a scrap for that like fourth spot now. Probably all the way down to Crystal Palace, you could say. Leicester and Everton feel kind of out of it just because of the limitations of their manager. But yeah, like, I think the top three got their job done, and I think West Ham City will be a big game next weekend. I think Chelsea will comfortably take care of United. Liverpool will. I think I might triple captain Salah against Southampton. I think it could be that kind of a result for Liverpool as well. So I think top three will keep on winning.
Yeah, they certainly do. They look like maybe that's it now. Where it always happens. Like, the title race breaks free. It has that weekend, or even if it's only one result that splits it, it just sort of breaks free, and then you never really clawed back again. Like, I remember Chelsea United, I think when it was Avram Grant was Chelsea manager, they broke free at one point, and that was it. Nobody got near them, and they just chased each other the whole season. So I think that's possibly what might be happening now, and what maybe that weekend was massive. Just on Liverpool, I thought Arsenal until the first goal went in were so excellent, like so really, really well drilled. Really had them really well drilled. Like, now they didn't look like they're going to offer that a goal that was well offside, but they didn't look like they were going to offer anything going forward. It sort of looked like they were just going to sit in and just come out of Anfield with a point, which is better than what they've been getting recently anyway at Anfield, and it would look much different. And then, as I said, for whatever reason, Arteta exploded. Anfield then exploded. Like, I had a mate that was at it that just said Anfield just literally the roof almost came off, and then Liverpool just clicked in the gear, and that was it. Then Arsenal had no answer for them apart from Ramsdale, who, even though he'd forward stuck past him, was unbelievable at times. Some of the saves were just superb. He should be England's number one. It's ridiculous that he's not, but in my opinion, he should be England's number one. But yeah, it was to watch it and get a 4-0 win after the disappointing result. The win is massive, obviously, to get back on the points again. But what impressed me so much was the midfield clicked. It worked. And it hasn't worked, and it didn't work against West Ham. It was so open against West Ham, and it was diabolical at times, really, against West Ham, to be honest. But it was really solid, and it clicked. And you had Oxlade-Chamberlain he was starting the press, and then if the ball went past him, Thiago was sweeping up. Obviously, that's what Fabinho does anyway. He sweeps up, and they were able to just get it recycled again and go again. And Thiago and Fabinho, I think, of the two best midfield performances this year have been Leeds away and then Arsenal at home, and Thiago and Fabinho have been pivotal and started in both that. So maybe it's something going forward Liverpool look at. Maybe it is those two that click, and you will see more of that. And I was pleased for Oxlade-Chamberlain too, but Chelsea at the weekend, like, you're right, Steve. My thing with Chelsea, and I spoke to Brendan about this offer, is they look imperious. Like, they've only conceded 4 goals so far this season. Is just like, that needs investigated, I think, by what do you call that? The court of arbitration needs to investigate that, because there's something not right there.
Here we do not trust them.
They just look so good. They look so good in the league, but yet it wouldn't surprise me if they get chinned in the last 16 in Europe. It wouldn't surprise if they lose tomorrow night, the Juventus, or don't come second, and then they get Bayern or someone decent from winning the groups in the next stage, and they get chinned. That wouldn't surprise me if they still can't draw off and win the league. Do you know what I mean? Because they haven't clicked in Europe. Even the other week, they won 1-0. Was it Molde?
Malmo.
No, Malmo, and they didn't look themselves. But then they go into the league game and they, bang, it's the Chelsea's back again. So it's a strange one. It's maybe like what happened to Liverpool. They won the Champions League, and then next year they were a wee bit stinky in it. They get put out by Atletico Madrid, but they went on to win the league. It could be something like that sort of scenario. It could be you never know. But that would be my thoughts on them. They look like a different side at times when they're in Europe. So I don't know. I'm sure Tuchel will fix that. But I don't know what you think, Brett. But yeah.
Yeah, I think it's very much focused on the league season. I think he's obviously come in and won the Champions League in a couple of months, which is wild. And he wants to win the big one. Like I still think the league that's a real test of a team and of a squad and of a manager ultimately. If you can win the league with this Liverpool and this Man City side in it, I think that's a massive achievement. So I do think you're right. I don't think they're at a level to go kind of deep in both. They're not that sort of a squad. They may become one. They've still a lot of good players at 20, 21, 22. And if Tuchel keeps getting them to respond the way he has been, then there's no reason why they can't go on in a year or two and do that. But I think you're right. I think they look a sort of a +3. It's just their mentality at the minute in the league, and it's it's hard to see them slipping up too much.
Yeah.
Pop quiz before we finish up. Who are the 4 players to score against Chelsea this season in the Premier League?
Salah.
Say it again. Say it again. Sorry. What was it?
The 4 players to score against Chelsea in the league this season.
Salah.
Salah.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There was an own goal, was there?
Oh, who was the draw against?
Oh,
Burnley.
Who scored for Burnley?
I
know too. I think Vidra.
Wood.
Yeah. No, Vidra.
And
sounds like a law firm.
Morgan. No. Sounds like a law firm.
It was. I know the team must have got beat. Did they?
Yeah. Give you 10 more seconds.
Any more clues?
No.
Sounds like a law firm.
Was it Norwich? Did Norwich score against you?
No. It was James Ward-Prowse for Southampton.
Ah, nice.
Was it a penalty?
Don't know. Probably. Salah's was a penalty.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think they've only conceded. They haven't conceded away from home from
it was a penalty. Yeah, you're right. It was a penalty. Yeah.
Yeah.
I think I'll do this for our first video cast. For the football babble, so I don't need to do the Patreon link because it's been on the bottom. So if you can't see it, it's your own fault. But follow us and sponsor us on Patreon. We'd really appreciate it. Anything you can offer is amazing. £1 a month is all we're asking for, really. £12 a year. It's absolutely nothing to help the lads out, and we really appreciate it. Get all of our stuff, as it says on there as well. Follow us at the Football Babble Pod on Twitter and Instagram. And it's a big week of European football coming up. And then more wax on the weekend. Myself and Johnny should be back on Thursday night if he has Wi-Fi. I'm not sure if he will or not, but if he doesn't, we'll sort something out. And folks, thanks for watching, and hope you enjoyed the show. We'll speak to you again during the week. Good luck.